Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, I have a heartwarming Christmas story that proves life can change in the most unexpected moment. So grab a warm drink, settle in, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay until the very end because this emotional journey has a beautiful ending you won't want to miss. Christmas was only 3 days away, and the city sparkled beneath thousands of colorful lights. Every shop window displayed glowing trees, cheerful snowmen, and wrapped presents waiting to be opened. Families laughed together as they hurried through the streets, carrying shopping bags and sipping hot chocolate. Everywhere Emily looked, she saw happiness. Everywhere except in her own life. At 33 years old, Emily had learned how to smile while hiding heartbreak. She worked as a children's librarian, spending every day reading magical stories to kids who adored her. She remembered every child's favorite book and always had a kind word for worried parents. To everyone else, Emily looked like someone whose life was perfectly together. But every evening she returned to a quiet apartment where silence greeted her instead of laughter. 2 years earlier, the man she had planned to marry had called off their wedding only weeks before the ceremony. He admitted he had fallen in love with someone else. Since then, Emily had buried herself in work and convinced herself she no longer believed in fairy tales. Her best friend Sarah refused to let her spend another Christmas alone. "I signed you up for a Christmas blind date," Sarah announced over the phone. Emily nearly dropped her coffee. "You did what?" "Just trust me. He's kind, successful, and volunteers every Christmas. At least meet him." Christmas Eve arrived wrapped in gentle snowfall. Emily carefully chose a dark green dress that matched the season. She curled her hair just enough to look elegant without appearing as though she had tried too hard. Before leaving her apartment, she looked into the mirror. "One dinner," she whispered. "Nothing more." The restaurant was beautifully decorated with candles, evergreen branches, and soft Christmas music drifting through the air. Emily arrived 10 minutes early. Then 15 minutes passed. Then 30. Finally, a waiter approached her table with an awkward expression. "I'm terribly sorry, miss. A gentleman called. He asked me to tell you he won't be coming." Emily's heart sank. "Did he leave a reason?" The waiter hesitated. Emily forced a smile. She paid for the hot chocolate she had barely touched and quietly walked outside. Snowflakes landed on her hair as tears threatened to fall. It wasn't simply being stood up. It was knowing someone had judged her without even giving her a chance. The Christmas lights that had looked magical only hours earlier suddenly seemed cold. She wandered through the town square, trying to calm herself. Children laughed while skating across the outdoor ice rink. Families posed for holiday photos. Emily felt invisible. She sat alone on a wooden bench beside the enormous Christmas tree in the center of the square. That was when she heard tiny footsteps. A little girl, no older than 5, wearing a bright red coat and oversized mittens, stopped directly in front of her. The child stared at Emily with wide, curious eyes. Without warning, she asked the most unexpected question Emily had ever heard. "Can you be my new mom?" Emily blinked in complete surprise. "What?" The little girl smiled innocently. "You look nice. Daddy looks sad all the time. I think you could fix him." Emily couldn't help laughing through her tears. Before she could answer, a man's voice called from behind. "Sophie." A tall man rushed toward them, clearly embarrassed. "I'm so sorry," he said, gently picking up the little girl. "She talks to everyone." Sophie crossed her tiny arms. "But Daddy," I asked nicely. The man sighed. "You certainly did." Turning back to Emily, he smiled apologetically. "I'm Daniel. And this little matchmaker is my daughter." Emily introduced herself, still smiling despite everything that had happened earlier. Daniel noticed her red eyes. "Are you all right?" Emily almost lied. Instead, perhaps because she was exhausted from pretending to be fine, she quietly admitted the truth. "And? He never came." Daniel looked genuinely saddened. "I'm sorry. Can she come with us?" Daniel laughed nervously. "Sophie. We're going to feed the homeless people. Then we're making cookies. Then we're watching Christmas movies." She looked back at Emily. "You shouldn't be alone on Christmas." Emily felt something warm inside her heart. Daniel hesitated. "You absolutely don't have to. But, if you'd rather not spend the evening alone, you're welcome to join us." Emily looked around. She had nowhere else to be. "I'd love to." Together they drove to the community center where dozens of volunteers were serving Christmas dinner to families in need. Emily immediately began helping. She handed out meals. She poured hot chocolate. She played games with children while parents enjoyed a warm meal. Daniel watched from across the room. He noticed how naturally every child gravitated toward Emily. She wasn't pretending to be kind. Kindness was simply who she was. Sophie insisted everyone decorate Christmas cookies together. Flowers somehow ended up everywhere. For the first time in years, Emily laughed so hard that tears filled her eyes for an entirely different reason. As the evening grew quiet, Sophie eventually fell asleep on the couch, clutching a stuffed reindeer. Daniel carefully covered her with a blanket. Emily noticed framed family photos on the fireplace. One picture showed Daniel standing beside a smiling woman. "I'm sorry," Emily whispered. "Was that Sophie's mother?" Daniel nodded. "Her name was Hannah." He paused before continuing. "She passed away from cancer 3 years ago." Emily's heart ached. "I can't imagine how difficult that's been. I promised Hannah I'd give Sophie a happy life. Some days I think I'm doing all right. Other days, I'm not so sure." Emily gently smiled. "From what I've seen tonight, you're doing better than you realize." Daniel looked at her quietly. "You know, when Sophie asked if you'd be her new mom, I wanted to disappear from embarrassment. I figured. But..." He hesitated. "After spending tonight with you, I understand why she asked." Emily looked down shyly. Christmas morning arrived with fresh snow covering everything in white. Emily planned to quietly leave before breakfast, not wanting to intrude. Instead she found Sophie waiting beside the tree. "Merry Christmas." She threw her arms around Emily. Emily looked confused. "I wasn't expecting anything." Daniel smiled. "Neither were we." He handed her a neatly wrapped package. Inside was a beautiful handmade bookmark. Sophie had drawn the 3 of them standing beneath a Christmas tree. Above the picture were carefully written words in colorful crayon. "My Christmas family." Emily couldn't stop crying. Neither could Daniel. There were no dramatic confessions. No perfect movie moments. Just ordinary days filled with extraordinary kindness. Emily helped Sophie learn to read. They celebrated birthdays together. Went on weekend adventures. Shared countless dinners. Their relationship wasn't built on grand gestures. It was built on trust. Nearly 1 year later, Daniel took Emily back to the same Christmas tree where they had first met. Snow gently fell around them. Sophie stood nearby, practically bouncing with excitement because she already knew what was about to happen. Daniel held Emily's hands. A year ago, Christmas felt empty. He smiled. Then one little girl ignored every social rule imaginable. She certainly did. That impossible question changed both our lives. Daniel knelt down on one knee. "Emily, Will you marry me? Before Emily could answer, Sophie shouted. Please say yes. I've been waiting forever. Everyone nearby laughed. Emily looked at Daniel. Then at Sophie. Then back at the man who had quietly rebuilt her belief in love. Yes. The crowd around the Christmas tree erupted into applause. Months later, during a small family ceremony, Emily officially became Sophie's mother. Not because anyone replaced the woman Sophie had lost, but because love has an incredible ability to grow without taking anything away from the memories we cherish. Every Christmas afterward, they returned to that same bench in the town square. The place where rejection unexpectedly became the greatest blessing of Emily's life. Sometimes the doors that close are protecting you from the wrong future. Sometimes the heartbreak you never wanted becomes the path to the family you never imagined. And sometimes, all it takes to change a lonely heart forever is one innocent little girl asking, "Can you be my new mom?" If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who still believes miracles can happen when we least expect them. Thank you so much for watching, Merry Christmas, and we'll see you in the next video.